I am very passionate about digitisation, and I can give you my word that the Baird Grant government is absolutely committed to driving more reform in this area in the years to come. I was surprised that Australia was ranked number 2, Glenn, to be honest. I think we're doing a pretty good job, and I think we're doing a great job here in New South Wales, but there's a much more we are going to do. I think we have just started in many ways. I have very big vision for New South Wales and digitisation, not just in Australia, but on the world stage. And already I've seen in the last 12 months how New South Wales, the engine room inside of government, is really cranking up. And to each of you that are involved in that, congratulations and thank you. But as I said, put your seatbelts on, because we're going to go much harder in the years ahead. When I talk about data and digitisation, there's 7 Ds, and I'll walk you through those in a moment. But why am I passionate about this? Because I was Minister for Aboriginal Affairs for 4 years. And in those 4 years, I saw outcomes that were not acceptable for a first world country. And we all see the results. We all see the billions upon billions of dollars that are poured into Indigenous policy, and we don't see the commensurate outcome that our Aboriginal brothers and sisters deserve. And time again, the best minds in the country with the best hearts in the country trying to drive outcomes, more often than not, I was frustrated because there was a lack of data around it. We were making decisions in the dark, on many occasions. Decisions that was, even if it was based on data, it was based on historical data. And it was just unacceptable. And I thought, wow, if I ever move from this Ministry of Aboriginal Affairs, I know what I'm going to do. I am going to reshape and re-energise a commitment to getting more data right across government so we can make informed decisions, more like a laser-like approach rather than a blunt, dull knife when it comes to setting policies. Because if we can do that, then we can drive far greater outcomes for the people of New South Wales. And that's ultimately what each and every one of us in this room are employed to do, and in my case, elected to do. So we'll do that. Data, let's start with the first D. Data is critical. I spend a lot of time with startups, and they keep saying to me, apart from innovation and money and the like, they need data. Data is their fuel. They need us to open it up. And I'm pleased to say that we've got about 48,000 data sets here in New South Wales, and that compares to 12,000 in Singapore. But when I went to Singapore and had a look at their data sets, theirs were far more polished. So we've got an open data policy now that I think is really cutting edge. And in the open data policy, you can see that we've got things like a data specifications, a rating for government agencies in relation to how they measured against open data, so a rating toolkit. We've also got a platform like a TripAdvisor where we start having a platform to discuss data and the quality of the data and the application of the data. And that's the first of its kind in the country. So that's really exciting. And we've also appointed Liz Tidd, who's the Information Commissioner, to be the open data advocate. So watch this space for a big push from the political end of government for us to open up more and more data sets and to make those data sets open in a very usable format, hopefully with APIs and the like, and to make sure that those data sets are not just opened up for the sake of opening up, but we're responding to what the consumer, what the clients, what the people of New South Wales want. So if they want a certain set of data, let's go and produce it where we can, not just dumping it for dumping's sake. Digitisation. You've got Mike Pratt here, who's absolutely leading the charge, and thank you for your leadership, Mike, in relation to Service New South Wales and broadly more over government, the digitisation process, and that is so exciting. Currently we've got 44% digital transactions. We're tracking to get to 70% by 2019. And Mike's going to tell you about the amazing things that he's doing in Service New South Wales. I just went there the other day to renew my driver's licence, and it was seamless. It was fantastic, and I was one of the ones that put 100% satisfaction rating for me, but I think overall it's 98%, which is just phenomenal. So congratulations there, Mike, and I look forward to hearing more about what you're about to say. The third D is we've got to make sure that the data is direct, i.e. it is real time. Again, going back to that Indigenous story, how many times do we get data as a government? Do you get data as an agency that is based on history, that is 6 months old, 12 months old? This is just not acceptable in 2016. It is not acceptable. When I was in the outside world, I honestly thought government was far smarter, far sharper, far more organised. When I've come into government, I thought, wow, this is a massive machine, and it is really hard to get all the parts moving, in the one direction. So in 2016, we really can't accept having historical data as a sole basis for making big policy decisions with loads of money attached to them, and more importantly, with human outcomes at the end of it. We need data which is live, i.e. API. Get that. And I'll give you two examples of how we're doing that just in my backyard. But I can't emphasise enough how important that's going to be, not just now but moving forward, and you will see a lot of political momentum around that. So please put that in your bag as you leave the room. And I'll give you an example of how we're going to drive that. We've just recently appointed, as you know, the GCIDO, the Government Chief Information and Data Officer, and Damon Rees is here. Where are you, Damon? Wave a hand. Damon Rees is here. Up there, up. Good on you, Damon. Welcome aboard. I'm going to flog that guy so hard. He is going to work so hard to driving this digital agenda. So enjoy your stay. And I look forward to many, many, many meetings with you because, as I said, this is so important to the government. In addition to that, we've got to make sure that the next D is data is displayed. If you do not display the data, unless you're a data scientist, it's pretty hard to make sense of it all. So the Premier's got his dashboard. I'm getting my dashboard. Mine's going to be manicured according to what I need. And I imagine a lot of other ministers are starting to do the same. You see transport, you see health. Both of those agencies are exemplars in terms of how they are displaying their data. And again, we're going to be driving that much harder this year. The fifth D is dissection, or data analytics, essentially. And we've got the Supremo here in Opperman, who I'm very proud to say that I appointed, and one of probably the impressive appointments I've ever made. And Ian will give you an address later on in relation to what the DAC is doing. DAC is definitely world's best practice in relation to data analytics. It's the greatest silo buster I think I've ever seen. It's only a 7-page piece of legislation, but the grief we had to go through to get that through shows how important it was. And already we're starting to see a cultural shift where agencies are now starting to realise, hold it, we are one government here. Sure, there's 160 agencies. Sure, there's 152 councils less what we've just amalgamated. Sure, there's 20 state-owned corporations. But ultimately, there is one government here looking after the people of New South Wales. And if we maintain our silos, we cannot properly look after the people of New South Wales. There are times when we need to get all the data, all the jigsaw pieces on the table to do the analytics around it to drive better outcomes. Ian's going to give you some examples of that later on. And it's really impressive and exciting what we're doing in that space, leading not just Australia, but the world. The next one is DNA. That's the second last D. So we've got to make sure that it is digital first. It's digital by default. It's digital by design. I'll come to that right now. I've had two examples just recently where in my own backyard I'm saying we need some policy around, say, for example, online petrol apps. So as each enough's driving down the road, We go petrol station. We can see the board, $1.05, next one down the road, $1.10, next one, $1.15. We all do it. And then we're thinking, geez, I wish I stopped at the one, 2 kilometres back. I'm responsible for the Biofuels Act. I'm responsible for making sure now that, we have the lowest possible price when it comes to petrol, that we put a lot of competition out there, that we use ethanol E10 to try and put a downward pressure on petrol prices. But when I was thinking about that policy, I was thinking, how can we use the digital world to do that? So I got my mobile phone out, I looked at that and I thought, well, hold it, you got Google Maps. We can find out where petrol stations are. Imagine if I can direct petrol stations to tell me in real time what prices they're selling their petrol for, because they'd have to do it on the road anyway. So I'm just saying, well, you're doing it on the road, just do it in a digital format. So we've passed the law this year. So by July, you will see an app coming out of New South Wales, or the data at least, and somebody will build the app around it. So when you drive between here and Liverpool, you'll be able to see in real time, relative real time, because hopefully they'll do it within 10 minutes, the petrol prices. So you can decide where to stop. Now, that is an example of digitisation of government to get an outcome for people. I was speaking to Mike Pratt just a moment ago. It is absolutely critical that everything we do in the digital world is directed at one thing, that is improving the lives of people, the people of New South Wales. I'll guarantee you, when they get that petrol app, they'll say, well, good on you, government, you're doing something for us this time. And surprise, surprise, when we launched it, it got so much of a run on the media, all the stations, the radio stations, TV, they all picked it up, because that's what the people of New South Wales want, let alone expect in 2016. I'll give you one last example. In relation to private certifiers, 2,000 certifiers out there. But do you think that that data in relation to occupation certificates and the like is coming into a central point in government, let alone in real time? No, it is not. There's 152 council. They've got their own form. They put all the that information on a bit of paper. It's not digitised. It's not standardised, and we don't see it. And if I had to get it, I had to go and write to the Minister for Local Government. By the time I get it, it's old. It's useless. We're going to change that. And Michael Lambert do a report in relation to building regulations, amongst other things, and part of the thing that we're going to do is make sure that we digitise that certification process. So I can now see in real time, hopefully by the end of the year, when certifications are taking place. Now, why is that important? Because if I start tracking that against occupation certificates that took place this time last year, and I see that there are less today than this time last year, and I see that tomorrow that there are less, and the day after there are less, i.e. there is a downward trend in occupation certificates, I am seeing in real time, and I'm able to use this as a diagnostic tool to say to the Treasurer, hey Treasurer, we are starting to see a dip in occupation certificates, i.e. construction is starting to slow down. And I can tell her this in real time, second by second, day by day, rather than I just got a report that's 12 months old. Not good enough. So we're going to change that. The last D is the third dimension. All I'm going to say to that is, download HoloLens, download Magic Leap, and all those 3D hologram type applications. If we're really smart as a government, we need to start thinking about how we position ourselves right now for that technology that is going to be on our doorstep within 8 or 10 years in a big, big way. So anyway, that's enough for me. Matt's waving that magic mule at me. So do I have 2 questions I can take? 2, Glenn? Where are you, Glenn? Any questions? Otherwise, I'm happy to go back to where I came. In 52 Martin Place. No question. Yep. Is there a question, or you're just waving the microphone around? No questions. Great. Jeez, this is better than question time. So thank you very much for having me, and more importantly, thank you for the great work you've done, because most of you are here from New South Wales Government, and I repeat what I said from the outset. put your seatbelt on. From the political perspective, from the political leadership of the Baird Grant government, I can give you my word that we are going to forge much faster ahead when it comes to digitisation. It is absolutely critical to everything we do. You're going to hear a lot more about this. So please enjoy yourselves now, because we're about to go through a very fast phase.